What's up, y'all? Y'all know who it is. It's Brian the Theological Giant. Welcome to another episode of the City Image Podcast. Hope you guys are doing well, blessed and highly favored, saints of the Lord and all that good stuff. Amen, Christian jargon I'm throwing at y'all right now, man. Spiritual. Be back at it again. To my right, who is with me?
This is Young, Nassau County.
Young, Nassau County.
Yes.
That's what's up.
And we got me, Varlene the Wild Thornberry.
That's what's up, Varlene. Good to see you again.
What's up? What's up?
Good, man. Yeah, we wanted to take some time today just to really introduce ourselves to you guys. I know you guys really love our content, but do you know who we are? Especially since we do kind of have new faces. Varlene is new to the podcast, and Young Nassau County, he's been on a couple episodes, but I think it'll be a great opportunity to even get to know him a little bit better, even myself. So we've come up with, 5 or 6 questions or so?
5 or 6,
yeah. I'm not good at math, but somewhere in that vicinity. Somewhere between 3 to 6 questions. Really just getting to know us, man. So this is really going to be much more of a lighthearted episode, but our heart behind this is that you would not just know the knowledge or hear the thoughts that we have on ideas, but know who we are as people.
It's a relational podcast.
The relational, people. Yeah, that's it right there.
We're intentional. We're relational.
We're
incarnational.
All the
we're organic.
All of that. So yeah, stick with us after the break, man. We're gonna really just dive into just exposing ourselves to you guys in a holy way.
And I put it down for the image of my city. Bobby put it down for the image of my city. And I put it down for the image of my city. Bobby put it down for the image of my city.
City Image is the best.
All right. Welcome back to City Image. Our first question to go around is, what is the most influential piece of art you've interacted with?
Well, I gotta say, off rip, it's The Shawshank Redemption.
Word. Oh my God.
My favorite movie of all time. There's a lot of art that I've influenced that's been influential to me, but The Shawshank Redemption is a movie that I want to watch at least one time a year. Just because the whole movie to me is a treatise on hope. And if you don't know or haven't seen the movie, man, I feel like I should give a spoiler alert or it's been out for like 20 plus years now. So if you haven't seen it, it's a little too late for that. But I would say watch the movie. It's just about individual who is wrongly accused and locked up in jail. He was accused for murdering his wife and her lover. She was cheating on him. And he goes into jail and he has to deal with a tremendous amount of trauma in jail. And the sheriff is corrupt at the jail and finds out that this individual is, what's his name? I should know this.
Oh, Andy Dufresne. Andy Dufresne.
Yeah.
My fellow Andy.
Yeah, fellow Andy. Yeah, he's actually, it becomes clear that he's been wrongly accused, but the sheriff wants to keep him locked up because he's been making the sheriff money and doing the taxes for the sheriff and all kinds of stuff like that. So long story short, it's a story about persevering under the trials, persevering under the being in a situation that you don't even deserve to be in. But and in the end, keeping hope alive, and he ends up breaking out of prison. And the thing that
was a spoiler.
That was a spoiler. That was a spoiler. But the thing that's really dope about it too is that he has a friend named Red, played by Morgan Freeman, who
best Morgan Freeman role, and also Morgan Freeman like has always just looked 60. Like he was, I think he was like 30 in that movie. But
he's always looked 60. I have no knowledge. I have no knowledge of a young Morgan Freeman. I don't know what a young Morgan Freeman looks like. I don't know if anybody knows.
Not even in Driving Miss Daisy, right?
Yeah, I mean, show me a young picture of Morgan Freeman.
That's back in the day too,
but it's all good. But he's in that movie, and he's actually rightfully accused and gets out of prison, though, after a while. He was denied several attempts to be out because, on good behavior. But he ends up getting out. But when he gets out, he's in a situation of like, the world is different because he's been locked up for decades, and he almost thinks about committing suicide, but he perseveres under that. And eventually, in the end, they end up linking again. There's a lot of stuff that happens, but they end up linking again. But the reason why the movie is so impactful to me is you see guys who are under trials and tribulations, some deserved, some not deserved, but they find a way to persevere under that and not give up hope. So many things happen. I mean, Andy was getting beaten in jail. He had an opportunity to have his trial thrown out because someone had actually confessed to the crime that he got locked up for. But the sheriff shut that down by killing the witness. I mean, a lot of stuff happens in that movie, but there's a perseverance. And in the end, they end up on top, right? And so that movie just gives me a tremendous amount of hope. For me personally, I've wrestled with hope in my life. Like, I've wrestled with having hope. There's been a lot of things that have happened and things I'm still wrestling with that in my mind, I'm like, dang, is there hope for a different outcome? Right. And that's not always clear to me. But every time I watch that movie, you have to understand these men wrestled with different things for years, decades. They were locked up longer than I've been alive. And in the end, they were able to, through their perseverance, and really, in my context, I would say faith, find a solution and come to a quote unquote happy ending. Now, we know happy endings don't always take place, and there's actually examples of that in the movie because one other guy gets out and he loses hope and ends up killing himself. But at the end of the day, like, what do we have in life if we don't have hope, right? So
come on,
that's something that, to me, every time I watch that movie, it's like I don't know what the future holds. But like Red, when he was trying to track down Andy after he got out of jail, he didn't know what the future would hold, right? But he kept persevering. And he actually says that at one point in the movie, like, I don't know, as he was traveling to Mexico to find Andy, like, I don't know what's beyond that border, right? But I'm gonna step out in faith anyway, right? And so these themes just, they animate me every time I watch that film.
We need stories like that.
We need stories like that, man. This world is like hopeless. It sucks our hope. We watch all the tragedy and it's right to feel sad when we see all these the tragic things taking place, because really it wakes us up to the reality of sin in this world. But there's a gospel, right? There's a gospel of hope. There's God acting in the midst of our hopelessness and bringing hope. And so thematically, you see that all throughout the movie. It's not a Christian movie, but it has so many Christian themes in it that honestly, I feel like at one point I could preach a whole sermon on the Shawshank Redemption. I won't, but that's me. That's my thoughts.
Yes, such a good movie. So V, what about you?
I would say a book that really changed my life is Irresistible Revolution by Shane Claiborne. Okay. That was one of the first Christian books that I was introduced to. It shifted like how I thought about Christians and like Christianity, because I was pretty new and all I seen was just what I was exposed to, because I come from like a traditional Haitian church. So reading that book allowed me to see that the world is more than just this Haitian church. And it's more than just this Western world, like Western evangelical world as well. Like there are a lot of poor people out there that need to be served. And like Jesus asks us and tells us to like go and serve these people, you know? And so Shane Claiborne, he pretty much much kind of goes to his whole journey.
He's a very interesting figure.
Yeah, he kind of goes through his whole journey of his walk through the book, and how like Jesus has like really radically changed his life, and how like he had to see everything totally different, you know, as opposed to what was being shown to him in churches today. So that really changed my life. He goes from like going to Calcutta and being alongside with Mother Teresa. Wow. Then he also goes alongside just where he was in Wheaton College in Philadelphia. He tells you his journey there, and just how like he served with a lot of like single moms who were like being kicked out of places, and they were like finding like an abandoned church to be their sanctuary. Yeah. Seeing how these things were like kind of like very controversial, but like this is how like you are really showing.
Didn't he go to Iraq like before the invasion?
Yes, he went to Iraq as well.
And, like, spent time
he told you everything, and like how our consumerism impacts the world when it comes to sweatshops and all that stuff, and like how like little kids are like, you know, being beaten, and
it's a very holistic vision of how your faith and your life impacts everything.
Yeah, so like it definitely changed how I kind of honed in on ministry ventures that I wanted to do when I got saved. And it really helped me to see that like, yo, like I really need to be helping like homeless people, people with mental addiction, right? Because like you don't really see, like honestly, like I never really saw that in the Haitian church. Everything is really proper and clean, and you do those things on occasion, right? Like it's not an everyday thing, right? So okay, this Sunday we're going to, but no, like this book charged me to see that like this is something that you should be looking at every day, right? Like you should be seeing a way to be an extension of Jesus's hand every day. Like it doesn't have to be something exponential, but like when you're walking down the street, you know, knowing someone's name who you walk past every day when you're going to work, like, oh, hey, Mike, how are you? You need something today? You know, actually knowing them and their story. So that book was just very pivotal in my life. And
love it. Love it. I feel very unspiritual with my answer.
Mine wasn't really that spiritual.
You were talking about you preached a little mini sermon out of it,
you
man.
Know what I mean, I made something out of it.
Let me set this for you.
Set the stage.
My answer is it's a mixtape. From 2007, by Lil Wayne called The Drought 3.
Okay, we need another Wayne drop, right?
Your money.
So I mean, for one, I was like 17, 18 when that mixtape came out, and they say that whatever music you were listening to, like psychologically, like whatever music you were listening to around that age is like the music that you have most affinity with. So picture like the scene in Ferris Bueller where he's looking at this Monet painting, and it's zooming in on the woman in the Monet painting and his face, and it just keeps zooming back and in, and then like he's so affected by that painting. That's just me at 17, except I'm looking at this like weird Lil Wayne mixtape cover, and I'm just like, this is it. But so I listened to that. All right, so I probably listened to that mixtape every single day for like a year.
Okay.
And it was in the middle of this run that Lil Wayne had, where the New Yorker came out with an article that year of the top 100 Lil Wayne songs of the year. Like he was literally just dropping music every single day. And if you were like a high school kid in Long Island, like that was all you were listening to. So it's
very true.
But basically, I feel like, now I'm going to go even extra on this.
Okay.
I feel like that album is the most influential album of the last 25 years. I'm going to step away from the mic.
Blasphemy, but okay.
Whoa!
And here's why. All right, so for one, he changed the mixtape game. He opened up the lane of like mixtapes. He opened up the lane of like going on other people's tracks and remixes and just like demolishing them.
But what was he saying though?
All right, that's a whole nother time. But all right, see, he was definitely the most influential artist at that time, rap wise, and also where music is now, like heavy auto tune, mumble rap, is literally all you hear. Like, it's all anyone who's like under 20 is listening to.
Yeah.
Like, that started with Lil Wayne. Like, that's like the branch to which I feel like all of music has been so like impacted by. And it started with this mixtape, The Drought 3. So you can't see their faces right now, but
yeah.
But I mean, okay, so 25 years before 2007 is what?
2017.
2000. Okay, so
2018. Well, so I'm saying the last 25 years. So that means 1993 on, there hasn't been an album that has impacted music.
Are you for real right now?
As much as that, as much as Lil Wayne, as much as that,
you can make an argument for maybe like.
I mean, Nas dropped Illmatic in 94. Biggie and Tupac was
that's
getting
what
ready
I'm saying.
to do their thing in like 95, 96.
You guys are very idealistic. You're giving the safe answers.
I'm not.
You were giving the safe answers. That's a very uncontroversial take. That's like, right?
I mean, but would there be a Lil Wayne if it weren't for these guys who helped put hip hop on the map? Period. Like during the 90s, you have hip hop really coming to the forefront as like the number one genre, where it's like you got white people in like the country listening to it. And it's like the 90s is that era, right? So
I mean, I feel like sometimes we could be a prison of our generation, so to speak. And I feel like that's a very old head answer.
Okay. Old head
and even my answer technically these days is an old head answer.
No, but here's the thing though. I'm one that I love the new school. I'll bump some trap like nobody's business, right? I'm not one of those people that's like,
Brian, who's your favorite rapper and who's the number one artist on Spotify right now?
My favorite rapper is Drake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Without Lil Wayne, there's no Drake.
Yeah, I mean he's not Drake.
But without Lil Wayne, there's no Drake. Like Lil Wayne put Drake on, and it was like all because of the momentum he had.
Okay,
he kind of like swung. He's like the Kareem to Drake's Magic. Like,
yeah, but I mean, but then you have to say that he needed that project. You're saying that project. If you were to say Lil Wayne,
I think that project and that just like the spirit of the mixtape in 2007 put Lil Wayne on.
Okay.
Gave him that platform, and then he took that platform and took this random dude from Degrassi and was just like, "This, I'm gonna put this kid on," and everyone was like, "Who's this Drake guy?" And like,
okay, I mean, so I'll agree with you on him because he mixtape wise, I mean, he had like I don't know how many like what was the name of that? He used to do with DJ Drama, the dedication mixtapes. I mean, he would remix songs on those things that like Lil Wayne's mixtape game is second to none. But that's
all I wanted to hear. I'm fine.
No,
you can say that.
But that's a far cry from saying The Drought was like the most influential project of the last 25 years. Yeah. I need to reassess
there
that.
There were two paths in the road.
Okay.
And I took the one that said that The Drought 3 was...
It's okay. We're all about overreaches here on City Image.
I digress. All right. So you can email. What's the email address if you want to send hate mail or if you want to actually back my claim up? Because y'all remember, if you were in high school in 2007, you remember.
I mean, Lil Wayne was. I was in high school, but Lil Wayne was hot. You know what I mean? But I don't think like he was like saying real content. You know, like
I feel like he
influenced. You know, the like the music moving forward. Yeah. But as far as like content, like what people were coming out with before, like Tupac and Biggie, like you could really hear what they were saying, and it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. I'm not gonna judge based on content because I know people just have different
views on that. Yeah,
I mean, you can have a great influence without that much content. So, because for me, in my opinion, like I think Biggie,
dude, Soulja Boy had more influence. Like if you really, you could roll your eyes, but Soulja Boy is like the proto. Like mumble rapper, and now everybody's basically a derivative of.
Yeah,
and I changed my answer. I want to say Soulja Boy.
No, that's even worse. That's even worse. That's even worse.
No,
that'll get you defrocked from the podcast.
Words.
Yeah. So, all right. Next, we'll leave the tension out there. But
leave the tension. I don't know if there's much of a tension. There might be a tension in your mind, but
yeah. Well, second question. Well, what is your favorite superhero, Bryant?
Me? Okay. Me? Oh, man. So, So before this, I would have said Batman. Just because he's Batman. Okay, like he's Batman. Like there's no need to explain that. But now I'm just gonna go mad woke with it and say Black Panther because.
Oh man.
There it is.
Because man, like it's for the culture, man. It's for the culture. No, but you know what? Black Panther is like the Marvel Batman, though, in the sense that he operates in stealth, and even watch that scene in the movie, that first scene where he's like on the tree and they're shining a light trying to take him out, and he's just taking cats out, real stealth like, and he has like a Batman-esque feel to him. But I like the character of Black Panther, what he represents. I love to see an African king. Shouts out to just putting that nobility on display.
Yeah, talk about impact. I mean, I feel like no superhero.
You know what I'm saying? In terms of impact. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not a huge comic book head, so I actually did not even know about Black Panther until like there was talks about a movie being made for him and that sort of stuff. So I'm admittedly, I almost feel like a fake saying that because they're like, oh, like comic book heads will probably check me like, yo, you ain't really read the comic books, you only heard about them because of the movie. But I'm just gonna keep it real. Like the reality is that I don't really know about comic book heads until like comic book superheroes until they actually make movies about them. So for me, when I really found out about this character of Black Panther, you're talking about a man who is king of an African nation that is the most technologically advanced nation in the world, right? They have eluded colonization, so they have a rich African culture, and they're thriving. And his sister, a African woman, is the most intelligent character in all of comics in the way that she's able to invent the things that she invents. And so and this is why Black people celebrated this movie so much. It just represented images of Black people that we hadn't seen for so long. And plus Black Panther, he's just, his martial arts skills are second to none. I mean, for me, I like my superheroes to know how to fight. Like I'm not like a Superman guy where it's like, he just swoops in. He's got all this strength. He just starts punching stuff, and like that's why I'm not really that.
There's no conflict there.
Yeah, I'm not really a Luke Cage fan in that way because I don't know. Maybe Luke Cage of the comics are different, but the Luke Cage in the Marvel series on Netflix, which I just heard, shout out to Netflix, they canceled that today. I just heard they canceled Luke Cage. That was kind of tight.
They canceled Luke Cage?
Yeah, it's canceled.
Netflix is canceled.
Netflix, you're canceled. But Luke Cage was still in his own, like it was like a punch him, like he just shows up and starts punching people. I like folks that could actually fight. That's why I actually like Captain America a lot too. So for me, one of my favorite fight scenes in all of Marvel fandom is when Cap is fighting the Winter Soldier in the street. That fight scene is bananas because it's just like straight martial arts, gritty street fighting type stuff. And so that's what makes a superhero to me. And you get that from the Black Panther. So
that's good.
That's how I would say that.
Yeah. How about you, V?
Yeah, so I'm not a comic book person either. So I'm going to just take it way back to like what was memorable to me as a kid. And I'm going to say Captain Planet.
Oh my gosh.
Captain Planet, he's the hero.
All right, why Captain Planet? Oh my gosh.
Right?
Tell us about that.
And I mean, it just was memorable because it was always like Earth, Wind, Fire, Heart.
Oh,
and now I'm looking it up and I'm like, yo, I remember all of this because like, you see, Captain Planet was mad woke and this is back in the day, right? Like,
oh, he was woke? Okay.
Yo, Earth, his name was Kwame.
There wasn't representation back then.
Representation. Earth was Kwame from Ghana, son.
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
You know what I'm saying? Then you got Wheeler from New York. Then you got Linka. right? She was when she was from Soviet Union.
Okay. I mean, you see,
So you had a communist.
You got some words. You know what I'm saying?
communist, an African cat. You put them all together on the same.
Yo, that's wild.
Right. Then you got G, who was from Asia. She was water.
Okay.
Then you got May Tai, who was heart. She was from the Amazon. Like, mad representation.
Wow.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? We always got a plot about something going on socially or politically, and how we ought to be, a part of the solution and not the problem.
Okay.
And I got these little messages as a kid, and it was hopeful, and it had me think. You know what I'm saying? Like. So I'm probably one of the reasons why I'm like all about helping people all the time and looking at things, like that really intrigued my interest in looking at like actual problems that I probably would have never thought about as a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like you had your villains like Hogus Greedley, right? Like, and that villain was all about overconsumption and greed. Like, look, man,
full circle.
Woke, son.
Shane Claiborne was
woke, you know what I'm saying? And so, like, Captain Planet, son.
Yeah.
Watch the episode as a kid, and it just made me feel good to see like these, 5 characters come together and actually like.
All powers combined.
Right, all powers combined. Like
we're united.
Exactly.
Unity.
Come together of different backgrounds to take care of a problem that's really impacting people as a whole.
Okay.
Man.
So, bro.
I gotta run that back
Captain
now.
Planet, son, man. Woke, right? Like, Kwame, son.
I should go back and watch it. I mean, look, I ain't gonna lie. I grew up on some Clapton Planet too, and I liked it. My reflections, actually, until you read that, I actually might want to go back and look at it again because it looks like there's some good stuff there. But I felt like Captain Planet was an obvious, like, attempt to help, like, socialize us in a particular way, like, get us super thinking on, like, political issues. And that's cool, but it's like, it's almost like it was, like, mad preachy. Like, it was...
You feel like it was kind of like overbearing kind of.
But I feel like you don't think about that stuff when you're a kid. You know what I'm saying? So like,
you don't.
Maybe as an adult, but like to just get a little kid to start thinking about these issues, I think is a good thing because like.
Yeah.
Now what we doing? All we doing now, all the generations doing now is on Instagram trying to get a photo, like trying to get the best like selfie look. You know what I'm saying?
Back in our day, we were thinking about these things.
No, I'm serious. Like back in our day, that's what we was thinking about. Now all these kids doing is talking about Cardi B. You feel me? And like her baby culture. Like who? I mean, like okay, great, but like let's think about some real things, that are impacting other people.
Yeah, no.
So
I feel you.
I think it was woke for back in the day, man.
I guess for me, it's almost like how I would look at Christian art, even though I know Captain Planet is not Christian. There's a sense in which like you go to it, and is the art good, or do we care about it because of what it's trying to do? Like. Like I think Christians, we look at Christian art.
You just took it in that's an interesting direction.
Because it's like we look at Christian art and it's like, oh, it's talking about Jesus, so I automatically like it or I appreciate it. And it was like, but the art itself, like if you look at the actors sometimes in these Christian movies, it's like super corny.
Yeah.
But it's like because it's Christian, we like it. And I want to give Captain Planet its props because I did watch quite a few episodes, and it must have. I don't really remember any episodes, but it must have had something going for it because I watched it. But it's like reflecting on it now, I'm like, why did I really care about it? Like, do I like it because like, oh, he's actually a really dope superhero, or okay, he was trying to make me woke, which is cool, but.
Yeah, sometimes if art is political or has a message and it's too like earnest or on the nose, it could be kind of
corny.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm
it's a cartoon
sometimes.
Nah, but I actually do got to revisit it though.
You won me over, Varlene. At first, I was a legit answer. I'm gonna go back and.
What about you, man?
I gotta go with Lil Wayne. No,
oh my god!
Lil Wayne, the Carter 3, my favorite superhero.
I would say Batman. I like the grittiness of Batman. I like the fact that he was very conflicted. he saw the brokenness in the city and he loved the city too much to let it rock like that. So like, I feel like he's very real. He's very authentic. He's a
ninja.
yeah. And I mean, the one with Heath Ledger, which one was that one?
Dark Knight.
I feel like that was kind of like the first superhero movie to really take it in a very kind of like realistic lane where it wasn't just kind of like an action movie, but it really was like, I don't know. I just remember being impacted by that movie so much. So I would have to go with Batman.
Yeah. I mean, that's a movie where the story and the acting was so compelling. I mean, Batman is a good superhero by himself, but like that whole movie is just so well put together.
Yeah.
It kind of helped add to the character. Whereas like some of the Batman movies that came out post Batman Returns in like the 90s, like Batman Forever.
Batman's not a Marvel, right?
No, that's DC.
It's DC comic, right?
We've already made all the comic book heads, man. Like
cringe, right? They cringe.
Once you say
but yeah, DC Comics. All right, so Batman is DC Comics.
Yeah. That's why she said Captain Planet, y'all.
Word. But I feel like, I always feel like Marvel, as far as quality, they come out, the quality's always better than DC Comics. But I like DC Comics, right? Even though they do come out a little corny sometimes. Like, I'm really into Black Lightning right now.
Okay.
I like Black Lightning.
Black Lightning needs to change his costume because it's the corniest costume I've seen in a long time. But I did watch all of Black Lightning. That to me, I'm not really a fan of his actual powers, but that series just culturally was just very relevant.
The storyline, right? Yeah, I felt the same way. Yeah,
so I stuck with it because like I just related to it so much. But I don't know, Black Lightning, the superhero, it's almost like Static Shock. I'd rather they just do like a Static Shock, like because he just walked around with like these lightning powers and stuff. It's just all right, cool. But the story is dope. That's what had me.
Yeah. So. Well, moving on to a similar question. Who would mentor you if you could? So who's your real life superhero, but like more like who would, if anybody alive, we're going to just stick with alive.
Yeah, stick with alive. Yeah.
Stick with alive, but then I've been like the Apostle Paul, Jesus.
Well, all right, you could be fully man, but you can't be fully God.
Okay.
To be an answer in this question. So yeah, what living person would you want to have mentor you if you could choose anyone?
I'm gonna go last.
I'll go first. One of the females that I would say pretty influential in the beginning of my walk as well is she was Blair Wingo before, but now she's Blair Lynn. I was really big into spoken word when I became a Christian. So like P4CM, I was always on that website, right? Remember, like P4CM, they were popping. Like when I
2011, they were popping, man.
So I was always on there. I actually like when I was in like. In a varsity, like I was like large group coordinator, and so like I actually would like play mad poetry.
You couldn't
videos.
have been in intervarsity and not be down with spoken word. Like, I feel like intervarsity and spoken word goes hand in hand.
So I would play like mad videos by like Blair Wingo or Blair Lynn now. Like a lot of her spoken word, it spoke to me, and I was mesmerized by her knowledge of the word. I watched one video where she was speaking about how to witness to Jehovah's Witnesses. And I was like, yo, I want to get like that. You know what I'm saying? I want to be able to like really like shut someone down like that, So, but now seeing her now, how she's progressed and she's still doing spoken word and like that piece that she did on her husband's album, like just how she articulates and that poetry, it's
very
just,
dynamic.
I love it. Just seeing her as a woman of the word. Yeah. That's probably who I would try to ask to be my mentor and get some words of wisdom from.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, this is gonna be kind of basic, but I would have to go with the boy. Now it's
getting a little too much.
I'm sorry.
Let's say I want to get mentored by Lil Wayne, the Carter 4.
I'm gonna have to go with the boy Tim Keller.
Okay.
Tim Keller. So, I mean, for one, similar to Varlene, Keller's books and messages, and they're very impactful for me as I was coming to faith. And I think the biggest thing for me is that I think it's always a challenge in every generation to articulate faith in a way that is faithful to Scripture, but at the same time that really speaks into the questions that our generation and our world is asking. And I feel like no one does that better than Keller, and just like the way that he's processing, kind of breaking down what's happening in the world and really just like unearthing Scripture to apply that. I love that. That's something I'm passionate about. I mean, that's something I feel like we're all passionate about. And so, you know, for him personally, the commitment that he has, despite the big platform that he has, to investing in the next generation, investing in people. And, you know, I really respect that. That's something I want to model myself. So, yeah, definitely I would have to go with him.
Yeah, I think Keller would probably crack top 5 for me, if not top 10, in terms of people I would love to mentor me. My biggest, why I'm attracted to Keller the most is his commitment to social justice, often in a theological space that is not committed to that, right? So like conservative, Presbyterian, Reformed kind of space that oftentimes you meet this fight to pursue social justice. You hear someone very clearly talking about that, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just listened to his critique of the document on social justice and the gospel that we spent the whole episode critiquing that last episode. But I mean, hearing him just even speak out against that, knowing that the people who listen to Keller are some of those same people, right? He's in those circles. So for me, that's been why I appreciate Keller so much, right? I mean, solid doctrine, outstanding preacher. I used to go to Redeemer Presbyterian for a while back in the day too, so I've listened to him preach. Fantastic communicator, but also someone who I think would be concerned about a lot of the things that I'm concerned about in minority spaces. So
yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
What about you, man?
Wow, for me, it's hard for me to say one person. Like I could probably envision just having a couple of mentors for a couple of different things, depending on what I was thinking about or dealing with, or what skill I was trying to improve or whatever. But for me, man, like I would need like an amalgamation of like different people.
So you're gonna cheat?
I'm gonna cheat. Yeah, I'm gonna like give a non-answer.
Couple people.
A non-answer answer. I would like a fusion of like John Piper and Cornel West.
Wow, yo, that's a fireball combination, man.
OMG.
A fusion. Why? Because, you know, John Piper gives me that solid.
Those are two of the most eccentric people around.
I would like to see a conversation between John Piper and Cornel West, talking about big picture issues like theology and faith and justice. That I'd probably pay money to see that conversation. Anyway. Obviously,
can we get that on City? Could you pull that?
God, if we could pull that off, goodness. Anyway, with Piper, you're getting your solid doctrine, you know, a robust biblical worldview, a desire, you know, just a passion for the gospel. But with Cornel West, you're getting a very sharp mind on the issues concerning Black people, justice, a strong activist mentality, and I don't agree with Cornel West on everything, you know what I mean, but I would love to just sit down and just hear him speak on a lot of different things, you know. And Cornel West, he at least claims to be a Christian, so it'd be interesting to see his take on justice and the gospel in a lot of different ways. So
just a sidebar, I love Cornel West because he tries to, when he goes on like network news, he tries to get way too spiritual. And it's so funny. Like Anderson Cooper ask him like, you know, oh, what do you think about what the president has done? And Cornel West just go, Trump is a brother because he's made in the image of God, but he's a gangster. But who among us, Anderson? You are a gangster too. We all have sin, and you need to repent as well. Anderson Cooper's just like sweating. Like, what is happening?
What are you talking about?
Okay, thank you. I love Cornell, man.
I know. I feel like it's bridging those two worlds, man. Like even though John Piper is, I wouldn't put him in a John MacArthur anti-justice kind of space, but it's still this conservative evangelical space versus like a more liberal Christian space.
Yeah.
And for so long, I've wanted to kind of fuse those spaces. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I'm with it.
If you can find me a living mentor that can fuse those spaces, you know, I don't know, maybe Thabiti and Ubule, maybe if I just throw that out there.
Yeah.
Someone like that.
Oh,
yeah. Get you someone who can do both.
I know.
Word.
So, yeah, that's me.
All right. So, opening the floor, what 3 songs, pick 3 songs. If you had to pick 3 songs for the soundtrack for your life, what 3 songs would you pick? Let's start with
me. All right. I'm ready. So, I'm gonna start from the bottom up, right? So my track number 3 would be "Make 'Em Sing." Yeah. Master P. But I think it's more than Master P. I think it's I think it's like the whole crew. I don't think it's
like
just
the whole No Limit.
Yeah, the whole No Limit. Yeah.
It's the Mysticals on there. Everybody's on there.
So Master P with the whole No Limit crew. Wow. Make 'Em Say That's like my high school days.
Yeah. This is Varley Noir Thornberry coming out.
Word. You know what I'm saying? Like I really, and the thing is, like I was just down with that whole down south, that energy, that crunk. It was just what I was feeling like inside as a high school
and that
kid.
was an influential track in terms of putting the South on. I mean, you want to talk about influence. Like that was one of the tracks that kind of put that down South energy more into the mainstream.
Yeah. So that would be number 3, right? Now I'm gonna get a little spiritual.
Okay.
Right.
We gotta connect. We gotta connect.
Spiritual.
The ratchetness with the spiritual,
exactly.
you know?
So then, like, let's say after I was like, let's say 19, 20, that's around the time that I was saved, looking for more, spiritual content,
the Lord.
Yeah, but I still needed my little R&B type feel. I'm going to go with Molly Music's Yahweh song, All the Glory
Molly
Belongs to You, And that song was very pivotal because it pretty much is it's all about God, and at that time, even though I was a new Christian, everything was about me. So it kind of helped me know that it ain't about me. It's about the Lord and His glory and His glory alone. I'm only supposed to be living for Him. So it helped me to really it really helped me with as far as career choice, because that's around the time I was in college. Career choice and let's just how I moved and how I did things. And then I'm gonna go with the little Rita Springer, Deep Calls to Deep.
Okay.
All right. So Rita Springer, she's just she's that charismatic side of me that I really, really
is that a gospel song?
It's a gospel song. But she's she's a charismatic, she's that charismatic side of me that's just so expressive and just loves the Lord and just so God, give me everything that you want for me. And I be needing that sometimes in my life.
You need a song that just hypes you up.
Yeah, she hypes me up that. And just the language that she uses and the music behind it, and just she speaks to me in some way.
That's good. That's what
and she and Deep Calls to Deep is a psalm, and she pretty much sings the psalm. It just allows me to enter in that psalm in a different way. This is I can really communicate with God in this song, and it just brings me to another place. So Rita Springer, Deep Calls to Deep. Yeah.
Those 3 songs in a row, It's kind of crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah, like right. So everything's hype, yo. You know, but I'm extra hype. So that's really me. Sometimes, like the inner me is like all of that in one. Yeah,
That's awesome. Brian, 3 songs, soundtrack for your life.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm gonna just preface this by saying these aren't my favorite 3 songs of all times, but they're just songs that I feel like just articulate my frame of mind sometimes. Because if I was going to just do my favorite songs, like they all be Drake songs and like be kind of corny. But I'm gonna go with New York State of Mind by Nas. All right. Nas, my favorite lyricist of all time. Love New York State of Mind just because it just had that gritty New York feel. That beat is popping. Nas is just talking about just being a young man in an urban setting.
He was really young when he made that too. He was like really young. He was like 18, right?
Yeah, somewhere around there. On his first album, Illmatic, classic. And it just had that, you know, for me, because a young black man walking around the streets of Brooklyn, man, I just be in a New York state of mind. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it just captured my whole urban space. So I love that. 2, I'm going to get spiritual too. A song, again, not one of my favorite gospel songs, but a song that's so real to me is Hope's Anthem by Bethel Music. Again, on this theme of hope is so, you know, like I mentioned with the Shawshank Redemption, it's so real to me. That song is just talking about the hope of Jesus Christ and, you know, the hope of Jesus Christ being man's only hope and bringing hope to the poor, the orphan, the widow, all that. So every time I listen to that song and I'm in a place of depression or I'm in a place of hopelessness, it picks me right up, man. Like it brings me into that place of, you know, worship. So that's real key. And the third one I'm gonna go with I Need a Girl by P. Diddy.
I need a girl to bye. I need a girl.
That's self-explanatory. Because as a 31-year-old single man, I be like, where she at, Lord? Even though I have been getting more content with my singleness, I've been doing better in that area. But that's a soundtrack to my life. You know what I mean?
Feel that, bro.
And there was like a remix to it. So both of them songs was dope. So
who was on that remix?
Oh man, it was I know Usher was.
Loon was on it, right?
Loon was on it. There was a couple. Yeah, it was a jam, early 2000s jam.
Man,
that
that's
took on a real, you know. I relate to that song for entirely too much of my life. I kind of wish like I stopped relating to that song a long time ago, but I still relate to it. So anyway,
God's gonna make a way. God's gonna make a way.
Amen. Hope's anthem. Hope.
You know what I mean?
So so likewise, I mean, I'm just thinking when I wake up, what's the best alarm clock? Right, and that's Annie Up by MOP. Even if it's just the instrumental,
yo.
I'll wake up with that as the alarm clock.
That instrumental?
I should make that my alarm, man, because I be having trouble.
Like, that would be...
That's an alarm. That's bad. So,
now, the content isn't exactly Christian, and we don't necessarily condone that here on City Image. Not necessarily... We shouldn't be robbing people. But that song is a pretty crunk song.
Yeah, well, we're gonna go into the enemy's camp and we're gonna rob him of what he took. That's how I interpret.
Ooh, that's a good. That's good.
So basically, secondly, and this is kind of like on a deeper level. Stay and Wait by Hillsong, the acoustic version off their Zion acoustic album. My dad passed away in 2014 from cancer, and like during that time, that album was just like on repeat, and it was something that carried through and really just kind of like brought me to my knees, brought me really low, just like seeking God, but also kind of like carrying me. And to this day, that album and also that song is just something I continuously just go back to in times that I need to just kind of really hand everything over to God. So, so Hillsong, Stay and Wait. And then, this might be my favorite. I had to pick a song from my favorite album. It's a short album. The song is called The Motive, Used to the Melody by Sango and Xavier Omar. When he released it, he was called Spazzy Rocket for the day ones. But
I have no clue what you're talking about.
But it's a really great song, a really great album. Just like the best like driving music, the best kind of like chill backup music. So
in the whip
if there's
music,
like an extended montage of like kind of like B film of like my life, I feel like that song would be kind of just vibing in the background.
Yeah.
Off of that. So
that was a Drake like song to me. So
yo, that whole album was sick. What they did with that. So we said it was a light episode. This is a little bit of a deeper one, but we're gonna keep it real right now. So, for you personally, how has coming to faith shifted the way you view life? General question. Interpret it how you will. How has coming to faith shifted the way you view life? So, you want to get started, Brian?
Yeah. So I came to faith freshman year of college, Howard University. Long journey there, but I came to faith during that time. And during that time, I was struggling with anxiety attacks. I used to have panic attacks. At the time, I was seeing a therapist, trying to think through how to deal with that. And at the root of my panic attacks, for me, was this sense of chaos in the world. There was just this thought operating in my worldview that things were random and uncontrolled. And I needed to just fear what was right around the corner because I never knew what was coming right around the corner. And so I kind of lived in a state of paranoia, just always fearing what would happen. And there was a sense in which life was just chaotic. Yeah. And when I became a Christian, it took some time. I mean, it would be a couple years before I stopped having anxiety attacks. But during those couple years, my worldview began to build slowly, and it was centered on the sovereignty of God, really. It was centered on the idea that God was in control, that I wasn't living in a world filled with random acts, even though to me it seemed like things were random. Behind it all was a plan, and even the things that were terrible was a part of God's plan for a greater good that he was ordaining. And so that eventually led to less and less anxiety attacks until, it came to the point where I stopped having them. Yeah. You know what I mean? So for me, it's why I'm so big on theology. I love studying the Bible because I recognize that the building of your Christian worldview leads to mental health, stability, leads to a vibrant faith. All those things. Now, I'm not against medicine. I'm not against people. I think God works through things like that. Works through counseling. I've been seen a therapist many times in my life. I'm not saying I'm 100% there, but I know that I would be in a way worse place if I didn't have a solidly biblical worldview. So that's been the biggest change for me since becoming a Christian.
That's good. I would have to say, just kind of peace in my identity. I think that, so I similarly came to faith when I was in college. I was about 19. And for me, I was in a season where I was really just trying to, figure out who I was, but I was really insecure and trying to fill those insecurities with a lot of different things. So, I found my identity in anything from academics to people's opinion of me to sports to art to career to even just kind of like being like philosophical and figuring out life and seeing life from a different worldview and stuff. And for me personally, that was very, very, I guess, honestly, anxiety inducing. It was very shaky. It was very unstable. And it was very fake. And for me personally, just, coming to Christ and seeing that my identity was rooted in something outside of me and it was given to me by God, and that I was fully known and fully loved, in the gospel. That was something that I couldn't find in those other places. And so really, I think about kind of the security, the comfortability with who God made me to be, and how that's really just affected the way that I see the world. And, you're able to just love people and have freedom in that and even, realize who you are, And so I would say that would be probably the biggest impact, you know, in terms of just how I live my life on a day to day. What about you, V?
The biggest impact on that my faith has had on my life is living in purpose for Him. You know, I got saved around when I was 17. I think we pretty much got saved all around the same ages. And at the time, I was pretty self-absorbed. I was a big music head, right? Like, I had the aspirations that many high school kids have. So, like, I wanted to do music, like, full time. So I was, like, actually an intern at Sony BMG Records at the time. Okay. And, like, that's all I wanted to do was, like, that high life and money and fame and being in those type of circles. And then I got saved and all of that changed. You know, now I realize that, like, oh, like, it's not all about me. It's about God and His church and people. And so it really allowed me to see that, like, there's more to life than me. You know, and I think a lot of people, like, deny that, like, they actually feel this way in life, but like, it's for real, because like, and it also showed me that, like, my nickname in high school was Impatient. Right? And you're only impatient because you're so self-absorbed, because you feel like nobody is important. And, you know, you feel like nobody's important. Like, you're the only important person. So I need everything the way I need it and how I need it and in the time that I need it. Right. So that's kind of like how I was a lot in high school. And I got frustrated all the time. Like, I would drive myself crazy. And it got to a point where, like, it was really, like, toxic, you know? Like, self-absorption is toxic. It really is. Even Talk in the minute way, you know, it's toxic. And so that shift of, it's not you, it's now you, like, focused on God being the main person in your life that you live for. Like, you're no longer living for yourself, but you're living for God. Definitely changed the way I moved and talked. I mean, it's like, and the thing is, it's still a journey. Like, I still struggle with a whole lot of that self-absorption. But like, that definitely changed my life, and seeing that, like, there's more to this life than me, and there's eternal life, and I'm gonna actually see Him, and that hope in seeing Him, and that
there's crazy freedom in that.
A lot of freedom.
When you're liberated from being self-absorbed.
Oh, absolutely.
It's so dope.
That's dope, man.
Well,
that's about it for this episode.
And I want all y'all to at me about Lil Wayne. I'm here for that. I'm here for that.
He's here for all the smoke. He wants all the smoke concerning his Lil Wayne claim. But so definitely, guys, we're interested in doing mailbag episodes, and, you know, we want people to not just consume content, but know who they are listening to. So if you have any other questions, you know, you can email us at cityimagepodcast@gmail.com. We're on social media, The City Image on Twitter, The City Image on Instagram. So, I mean, we're on Facebook, search City Image. So you can get in contact with us, send us a message, and share our content, please. You know, we're really depending on word of mouth. We're really depending on people who feeling us to just tell other people about us and what we're doing. So please tell your friends. So, this is Bryant, the Theological Giant.
Young Nassau County.
Varlene, the Wild Thornberry. What up?
All right, man. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.